Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel here. Sorry you haven't seen any lifting. I've been sick, so uh, what is up with the title of this video? Huh? We're here to lift weight, not talk about toddlers, right? So, despite my sleep not being the best, I will say in training, the most important factor is sleep. However, if you're a parent, the most important factor is your child's sleep. So, what was going on? We have a 2-year-old, and so when he was little, he had reflux, and we didn't even know until after the fact. So we tried to remedy that. That turned into every time he needed to go to sleep, way up until now. And right now he turned to a couple months, so he is 20, you can say 26 months coming up soon. But anytime he needed to go to sleep, he needed to be rocked all the way to sleep. There was a small window where he could be in the tunnel and I could put him down and he would accept it. Not anymore. And it just became he had to be fully asleep, which meant that we would rock him. Some nights it would be way into the 8:30s, a couple times 9 o'clock hour. And a few months back, he was starting to have these, I'm going to wake up at, 3, 4, 5 if we were lucky, and just scream his head off until Mama came in the room. After that, she would either be in there with him, or after she couldn't take it anymore, take him to our bed, and of course that never worked because he just wanted to party. So, what did we do? First off, credit where credit is due. Natalie Wiles, baby sleep trainer. Your book saved my life. I literally did one YouTube search, and I saw her in an interview, and I was like, whatever. She has a book instead of having to go through one-on-one training. So I got the book, read it in a couple days. That's why reading is so good. Read it in a couple days, took some notes, and here we are. It is 7:30 or 6:30 something, 6:36. And our little guy is still sleeping. Our internet's not working that well right now, so I can't check on him, but this is a far cry from him waking up early. So, how did we do it? Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. And I will say, some parts may be easier for you, some parts may be harder, depending on the age of the child, because he's 2, so we kind of acclimate it better. If it was a little baby, they'd be more confused because you can't communicate to them that well. So I'm just going to talk about how we did it for our 2-year-old. I'm not going to spoil the whole book. It's really good. It's, just don't eat out one night and buy the book. It's on Kindle, and learn from it, especially if your sleep has been struggling. All right, so here's how we did it. So, starting the night, just like we do every other night, eating dinner, give him a bath. Ideally, the way we time it is he takes his bath, and he goes straight into his room. It's time to start winding down. We did the usual, what we always do, read to him, give him milk, brush his teeth, say his prayers. And now, from that point, the author has a scale, 1 to 10 of sleepiness. So 1 to 3 is you're wide awake. 4 to 5 is when when the baby starts showing signs of, I'm getting drowsy. And then anything beyond that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, you're sleeping. So, after your routine, I think what's recommended, you turn the sound machine on. Lights may or may not go off. You have 5 minutes. You can try to not rock them like you used to, like we used to. Get them relaxed. Talk soothingly to them, whatever. Sing to them, whatever. So, within that 5-minute window, if he starts to show a 4 to 5 on the tired scale, it's time to plop him down. If the 5-minute window timer goes off, doesn't matter. You got to plop him down in the crib. So, our little guy is 2. So here's what happens. So after that little 5-minute window, you have an hour. Within that hour, the way it works is you put them down. You say, I love you. It's time to go night-night, like we say. Good night, sleepies, whatever. And you put them down, and you walk out. I will say, man, that was... And it's only the first couple. For us, it was the first... about one night was really bad. Everything else wasn't too bad, and now it's pretty much smooth sailing. But you put them down, you have an hour, and they will start screaming their heads off. So they're going to do that throughout the duration of the hour. Now, you have these 10 to 15 minute check-in times. If the child is consistently screaming bloody murder for 10 to 15 minutes, on the longer end if the kid's older, you go in and check on them. Now, if the baby, I'll just spoil the fun. If the baby can't get up or like kneel or stand, you just go to them, touch them on the head or whatever, say it's time to go night night, I love you, bye. Our little guy, of course, is walking, 2-year-old. So the way it worked is I had to go in. I was doing this, okay? It was painful. Mothers, I feel for you. But anyway, I would go in. You have to stand a decent amount of ways apart from them because you don't want them to think that you're going to pick them up. And just repeat the same line. It's time to go to bed. I love you. Good night. You can say lie down, whatever. But that little check-in shouldn't take longer than 30 seconds, okay? And so let's say that's the extreme example. It happened for 15 minutes. You keep trying. So the hour is still going on. Let's say you have to check in another 15 minutes. You do it again, so on and so forth. Now, when the hour gets up, that's it. No more check-ins for you until the next time they wake up. What does that mean? So after the hour gets up, let's say your baby's still going. That's it. You just leave, and however long it takes them to fall asleep is how long it takes them to fall asleep. My heart sank when I read that, and it sank even more when I did it. But the first night, so little man was, I think I started at 7:30, and I did one check-in. I'll explain why the one, but at the hour mark, he just fell asleep. He was just, and he's screaming because he's confused, and he sleeps because he's sleeping, not because he's tired from crying. That was, an analogy is if you run a marathon, you don't just stop and fall asleep because you're so tired physically. It's, you sleep when you're sleepy. So, back to the hour thing. So your little 10 to 15 minute timer. If at any point in time the kid takes a break from crying, more than just, I'm about to catch my breath to cry some more. If they're standing around, like our guy was, you cancel that timer and you start a new one from scratch when he starts crying again. So that may mean, what happened to me, is that even though you have the 10 to 15 minute, I think up to 20 sometimes, window, if he takes a break, the timer doesn't mean anything. And when he starts again, you start another timer. So that may mean you're not checking on them. You get to 9 minutes and 30 seconds. He stops. You cancel that timer. He starts again another 30 seconds. You start another 10-minute timer. Too bad, because there's a garbage truck down there. Okay, I'm not going to go that way. Too bad, because that means he's starting to wind down. Okay, he's starting to get sleepy. And so the hour's up. You, however long it takes him to fall asleep, you let it go. Let's say he wakes up in the middle of the night, like what happened with us. You repeat the process. You're like, okay, he's starting. I'm going to give him 10 to 15 minutes. You go in, do the same thing. I went in there once. I think it had been 20 minutes. I went in there once, and I said the same thing, buddy. It's time to go to sleep. I love you. Good night. Just to let them know that you're there. They need to be sleeping, and they need to learn how to fall asleep on their own. So just let them know, and you leave. And same deal. I don't think it took the full hour for him to calm down, but it was not too long after I did my little check-in. And you repeat that, if necessary, until 4 a.m. I'll get to that in a second. So, parents with little babies, I feel for you. I have no idea how this would work with a little kid that, can't get up. She recommends starting as early as 4 months. Our guy was 2, so is 2. So it's slightly easier there. Also, there's advice for toddlers like that, or in a big girl bed that can get up. That's more drastic because you got to start closing the door and making sure the room is safe. But back to our story. We continue that process until 4 a.m. Why 4 a.m.? Here's the other end of the other side of the night rule. Between 4 in the morning and 6:30 in the morning, you are not allowed to go in there as a parent. You have a monitor, and unless it's an emergency, meaning kid falls out of the crib, kid broke his arm, kid, as ours started to do, takes his own diaper off, and it's a stoolie diaper, that's an emergency. If you have a code brown, address it, and then put him back in there, carry on with the night as planned. But 4 to 6:30, unless it's an emergency, you do not go in. Why? Well, as we were doing it correctly, if your kid wakes up at 5 and you go get them, and you try to soothe them, or you bring them to your bed and they think it's party time, they're going to think that's the case every time at 5 a.m. So goodbye to your sleep, and say hello to a new alarm. So that's the full night. That second half is teaching. When you wake up, you're like, I feel like I could sleep some more. That's teaching them to sleep some more. So yes, this is crying it out. I know it sounds brutal, but the analogy Natalie had was parents are okay sending their kids to daycare. You know how it is. First couple days, they scream their heads off. They go to a new class, they cry. You have to go to a doctor, you need to get a shot, probably going to cry. But what's more important? You could either, we're talking about ripping the Band-Aid off. So you can either rock them to sleep every single night, deal with their midnight wakings, deal with their early morning wakings, destroying your sleep and theirs. Or, you can do that until, who knows how old they could be. I didn't want to find out how old our son could get before he could sleep on his own. Or you can deal with what happened with us. It was seriously one really bad night. I did it because I don't know if my wife could have handled it. And one night was really bad. The next night he seriously cried out for less than 10 seconds, and then he fell asleep. Every single time after that, so it took about 2 nights. Every single time after that, it has been, I cannot be more grateful. It has been smooth sailing. We seriously plop him in the bed, we say, I love you. He lies right down with this little stuffed Mickey Mouse or whatever, and sleeps. And now I can go out for a morning walk and know that he's fine. I was going to say something else and I forgot. So that's our summary. Like I said, smaller babies, older kids in a big toddler bed. The story's going to be different for you. So I am not going to summarize that here. I'm going to just speak from my experience. And that's it. A little bit different in the terms of the algorithm for YouTube, but it's been a life changer. Anybody out there if you're in the exercise, physical game, whatever, and you have a kid, you can have the best training, or you think your sleep and nutrition's on point. That kid has another story, and your life, You need to reevaluate things. Like get this book, man. I cannot. Or even if you find some other method. I'm just saying what worked for us. This is just a game changer. So that's it. If you have questions, let me know. All I'm gonna do is just answer you out of what I know from this book. So read books, people. It's good for you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.